This is the first video tutorial for assignment number 4 for Architecture 2351, Architectural Technology 1. And you can see this is an area actually in San Antonio. This is Travis Park. This is a park right here. And then there's a series of streets here, a church, a residential hotel, a bank building here, and I can't remember what that is. But over here is a little proposed branch bank. Okay, you can see the parking lot right here, and then this is proposal for another building next to it. And then it's a pretty simple, rectilinear shaped building. These different blocks or different masses here. This represents the stairwell in that corner, and then another stairwell over here in this corner. And then right next to that, then in the center right here, that's an atrium that vertically goes up and down. And then, of course, we have 1, 2, 3 floors of offices, and then the roof up here. If we look up on top, we can see maybe the plan of it a little bit better, so we know what we're looking at. So we've got this atrium is right there, the office space around, and restrooms and a variety of other spaces. And then here is, of course, the stairwells right here. And so the first thing we're going to do is set up a structural grid. We've decided, or I guess I've decided, that we're going to do a simple structural grid. So what we want to do is define our grid lines, as we talked about in lecture. So we need to define our grid lines, where is our columns going to sit, and so that's kind of the first thing we need to do. So we're going to, if we go into the file and download the file that I asked you to download, you'll see that I've already done that. Okay, you'll see here in the structural level 1, and this is what we'll be working out of most, is the structural plan views. Okay, and you'll see here there's a grid line here called A and a grid line here called B, and then a grid line 1 and a grid line 5 that represent the big rectangle. Matter of fact, it might be easier to see this if we do WT and get both of these up to here at the same time. So here's this, and here's the mass modeling that I was talking about before of it. Okay, so here's our stairwells here and here. And so we have 1 is this line right here. There's going to be a frame right here. We're going to run our frames across this way. So our main girders are going to be in this direction like this. And then we're going to connect it this way with a series of beams and trusses. You'll see I've got then right here at the edge of this stairwell right there, that grid line right there, which represents that stair, the end of that stair. We need structure all the way around, our columns all the way around these stairs. So you'll see that I have another grid line here. When the grid line doesn't run the whole length, it's not uncommon to give it a secondary numbering like A2, which means it's after A or a second A, right? It's a subset of the A grid lines. And then you'll see another grid lines here called M1 and M2. Those 2 grid lines represent this edge right here of the mezzanine, these 2 edges. So M1 is the edge, and it'll need some structure there, and there'll be need some structure here for M2. And then you'll see on the other side of the atrium right here is another grid line for the width of the atrium. Okay, and then like I said, 5 is the end of the building, and then we have one right here called 4.1, which is the end or one side of the stairs, and then A1 right here, which is the other end of the stairs. So you'll notice this is A1 and this one is A2. Okay, and this one is 4.1. This grid line here, this 4.1 shouldn't go all the way to the other grid line because we don't really need a column there. It should just stop right there. So what I'm going to do is move it and move it. I'm going to select it and then unlock it so it won't move all the others too, and make it shorter, just like I did the other one on the other side. Okay. You'll notice the distances here are different. In other words, and that's because of the layout of the interior of the space. And we'll get to that when we look at the interior room spaces and put in the partitions in the room. You'll see why that the bays are different widths. This is only 23 feet, and this one's 32 feet. You'll see this one's 34 feet, 21 feet from here to there, which is the width of the stairwell. Okay, so that gives you an idea of the layout here. And then let's go in here and look at a elevation. So let's look at the south elevation, which is this narrow elevation right here, this south elevation. If we go and look at there, we'll see that we have a level 1 that's 1 foot above the curb, okay, because our finished floor, this level 1 finished floor, is required to be at least 1 foot above the curve. And then you'll see a level 2, and its height is 16 feet, okay? But of course it's at elevation 17 because this starts at 1 foot elevation above 0, top of curve being 0. And then you'll see here that the next level is 13 foot 4 inches above that. And then the second level is the same, 13 foot 4. And then there's the top of the parapet. When we do the parapet, is 2 foot 8 inches above that. Now those dimensions may change as we work the design and have to make other things fit, but for the general rule, that's the vertical layout. Okay, so that gives you an overview of the project. In the next assignment, we're going to start putting foundations in and raise the frame.